Good morning, everybody. My name is Judy Morgan, and it's my very great pleasure to welcome you to today's discussion. I miss the days when we could look out and see you all in the room and chat over a coffee, but on the plus side, we have a number of people registered from across the province who might not have been able to make the trek into an in-person event. So webinars aren't all bad. In total, about 150 of you have registered. You represent a broad cross-section of the workforce development ecosystem, including school boards and post-secondary institutions, many not-for-profit organizations and agencies, several workforce planning boards, people working for all three levels of government, and some individual members of the public. We thank you all for your interest and hope that you find this morning's discussion useful and interesting. Before we start the program, I just wanted to provide a bit of technical information about the actual operation of the webinar. If your internet quality is poor, click on the click here to refresh stream, which is right at the bottom of your viewing screen. What that does is that it switches the webinar to a lower bandwidth. The video quality will decrease, but the audio should remain the same. If you're having problems with any other technical issues, there's a request for help button on the bottom right-hand corner of the webcast page. So your help request will be emailed back to you at the email address when you registered. Just wanted to note too that today's session is being recorded and will be available for viewing on our website after the webinar is over. Even though we're meeting virtually today, I want to acknowledge that I am speaking from Toronto, which is the traditional territories of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. I am the chair of the Intergovernmental Committee for Economic and Labor Force Development, which we call ICE for short, because our real name is such a mouthful. For information about the committee, you can check our website, which is icecommittee.org. In a nutshell, ICE facilitates collaboration among all three orders of government around economic and labor force development in Toronto. Our goal is to break down the silos and facilitate information sharing and collaboration across government. Our members include representatives from about a dozen different offices at the City of Toronto, Province of Ontario, and federal government. And our activities are made possible by the financial support of Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship Canada and the City of Toronto Economic Development and Culture Division. Nothing like having it, excuse me for just a sec. Our activities include identifying topics of collective interest around which we commission nonpartisan third-party research and host forums such as today's event. One of our ICE members, Adrienne Leakey from the Ministry of Labour Training and Skills Development, is going to tell you more about today's event. But before I turn the screen over to her, I just want to bring your attention to two important features on the event page. The first is the questions tab, which is to the right of the viewing screen. You may ask a question at any time during the webcast by clicking on it and then typing in your question and clicking submit. If you'd like to direct your question to a specific person, please include that information as well. And then there are two question periods which Adrienne will go over, and we will address questions from the audience then. The second important feature is the link to our feedback survey, which is the colored text beside the viewing page, just following the event description. I promise you that the feedback survey is very short, and we do actively use your feedback in planning future events. You can fill out the survey before you sign out of the webinar or afterwards, if that's more convenient. So that's it for me for now. Over to you, Adrienne.
Yes, hi and welcome everybody, and thank you, Judy, for that nice introduction. As Judy mentioned, my name is Adrienne Leakey. I am a Senior Policy Advisor with the Immigration Policy Unit with the Ontario Ministry of Labour, Training and Skills Development. So why this panel this morning? When thinking about events for the upcoming year, as ICE does, doing the Skilled Trades panel really seemed like a no-brainer to us. It's no secret that there's a shortage of skilled trade workers here in the province and across the country. The pressing need to fill these positions and address these labor market shortages is becoming increasingly acute as workers retire. The demand for housing and new construction starts is at an all-time high, and navigating the apprentice system is both complex and daunting for those looking to enter the profession. So this panel discussion is really aiming to do what ICE does best. As Judy mentioned, we bring together individuals from divergent perspectives within this sector and to provide a comprehensive overview of the current challenges, such as those mentioned above, a few others I probably haven't thought of, and more importantly, to think of some opportunities for the future. We're really looking forward to this morning's conversation and thank both the panelists and the participants for joining us this morning. Before we proceed, I just wanted to go over a few more housekeeping items and then I promise we'll start. So for this morning's agenda, Lisa Bifano and Michael Spagnolo of the Ministry of Labour Training and Skills Development will provide a context-setting presentation on the Ontario Skilled Trades Strategy. There will then be an opportunity for questions following this presentation. As explained by Judy, please type them into the question tab. And then we will turn it over to Colleen Dignam to lead our panel discussion, and there will be a second question period to follow. So with that, I would like to introduce team lead, Lisa Bifano from the Workforce Policy and Innovation Division of the Ontario Ministry of Labour Training and Skills Development. That's the last time I'll say that. And Michael Spagnolo, a Senior Policy Advisor within the same division. So Lisa, Michael, over to you.
That's great. Thank you so much, Adrian, and good morning. We are so happy to be here to present to you today. We'll jump right into our first slide, and we'll give a bit of an overview about apprenticeship in Ontario. And we know many of you on the call are very well versed, but we always like to kick off our presentation with a bit of a foundational slide. So as many of you know, apprenticeship is one of the pathways to training and working in the skilled trades. Most training, about 85 to 90%, is done in the workplace, where an apprentice is paid and works under the direction of an experienced worker. About 10 to 15% of their training involves a classroom in-class component, which provides theory to support practical workplace-based training. In Ontario, an apprenticeship involves a training delivery agent, the ministry, an apprentice, an employer sponsor, and Skilled Trades Ontario, which we'll hear a bit more about later on. Under legislation, an apprenticeable trade in Ontario is either prescribed as compulsory or non-compulsory. Compulsory being where an individual is required to have a certification or must be an apprentice in the trades working pursuant to a registered training agreement, and non-compulsory being where a certification is not required to practice in the trade. Of Ontario's 144 apprenticeable trades, 23 are compulsory and 121 are non-compulsory. And just along the bottom there, we have some quick key facts. So just over 78,000 active apprentices in Ontario in 2020 to 2021. 52 of Ontario's 144 trades are Red Seal trades. And over 198,000 are active certificate of qualification holders. We'll jump to the next slide. So, you know, at the top of the call today, Adrian mentioned Ontario's skilled trades shortage. So this slide really describes some key facts supporting that claim. So nearly 1 in 3 journey persons in Ontario are over the age of 55. And the average age of an apprentice in Ontario is 30. In construction alone, the province needs over 100,000 more skilled workers over the next decade, and in part due to the province's ambitious infrastructure plan with $144 billion investment in infrastructure, including initiatives to support expanding broadband, natural gas expansion. There's 2 GO train service expansions, and of course the Hamilton LRT. So we are facing a projected skill shortage in Ontario. In order to build the pipeline of skilled workers, Ontario has announced the Skilled Trade Strategy, which we're presenting on today. The strategy is really built around 3 key pillars. The first being to break the stigma. So it's important that in order to build the pipeline, we attract more young people to the skilled trades and reduce the stigma surrounding pursuing a career in the skilled trades. The system is very complex, so there's a need to simplify the system by cutting red tape and making it easier for people to enter the trades. And the third and final pillar, encouraging employer participation in apprenticeships. So to support the 3 pillars of the strategy, the ministry appointed 2 advisory panels, the Apprenticeship Youth Advisors and the Skilled Trades panel. And we'll be focusing predominantly on the Apprenticeship Youth Advisors appointments through this presentation today. So we'll hop to the next slide. Thank you. So back in August 2020, the Minister of Labour, Training and Skills Development, Monty McNaughton, supported by the Minister of Education, Stephen Leachy, and the then Minister of Community and Social Services, Jill Dunlop, announced the appointment of 3 apprenticeship youth advisors whose mandate focused on the following 4 priorities, very much in line with the strategy pillars that I just explained. So breaking the stigma, identifying the barriers that are preventing youth from entering the skilled trades, improving access into apprenticeships by establishing clearer pathways, and identifying opportunities to expand and support pathways, and supporting the retention and successful completion of an apprenticeship program. So this includes improved transitions from training to careers in the skilled trades. So from October 2020 to March 2021, the youth advisors undertook extensive consultations with a range of stakeholders. Many of you on the call participated in these engagements, so we do very much appreciate your participation. Stakeholders included a diverse range of individuals, including youth, parents, employers, unions, industry associations, training delivery agents, Indigenous tribal councils, and support organizations. The youth advisors also conducted an online survey, which garnered over 5,600 responses, received over 30 plus written submissions, and in total conducted over 90 engagement sessions with approximately 400 participants. So there was lots of engagement done to inform their work. And again, we thank those on the call who were a part of those consultations. And I should also acknowledge that one of the former youth advisors will be participating on today's panel. So you'll be able to hear a bit more from her later on. We'll jump to the next slide. So based on all the findings that were gathered from the consultations, the youth advisors identified the 5 key priority areas or 5 key findings and developed recommendations to the minister based on such. So the first really being the fact that there's a lack of information among parents, among youth, and also among educators in the system, like guidance counselors. So these parties really need to become more familiar with the skilled trades. Pathways are also very unclear and difficult to navigate. Much of this is due to the complexity of the system. Third, there's a lack of coordination between key players, including school boards, government, employers, and industry associations. So there's a really big opportunity there to enhance coordination efforts. 4, we heard about employer apprehension and training. So some employers are worried about hiring youth, mainly due to health and safety concerns, or the lack of job readiness that we're hearing and seeing from some youth. And then 5, there are many barriers to entry for youth, most especially those from underrepresented groups. Underrepresented groups being women, Indigenous, people with disabilities, newcomers, francophones, etc. So additional supports are needed to really support those from underrepresented groups in accessing the skilled trades, but then also becoming successful and being successful in the skilled trades and able to complete their training. So based on these 5 key findings, the youth advisors presented 24 recommendations to the minister. The report has been released online, so you will be able to search if you haven't already and find the report to review it. We, as a ministry, following the receipt of the recommendations, established a multi-ministry working group with partner ministries such as the Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Community and Social Services, to really review the findings, review the recommendations, and identify opportunities to work together to develop a provincial response to the youth advisor recommendations. So we have publicly posted an action plan. The action plan is in response to the findings and builds upon our skilled trade strategy. And I'll turn it over to Michael in just a moment, and he'll review all the key initiatives that fall under the skilled trade strategy, many of which are new initiatives that respond to the findings of our consultations. So with that, Michael.
Thank you, Lisa. Hi, everyone. I'm Michael Spagnolo, Senior Policy Advisor with the Ministry of Labour, Training and Skills Development's Apprenticeship Policy Unit. We're just going to go over to the next slide, and I'll be providing an overview of the skilled trade strategy initiatives under the 3 pillars that Lisa went over. So for the first pillar on breaking the stigma, the ministry will be conducting and has already conducted a number of advertising and marketing campaigns to really show the variety of trades that are available, to break any stigma that the skilled trades are low-paying, dirty, don't provide a really promising career path, but rather show many opportunities throughout the career, and very rewarding career as well. The Ontario Youth Apprenticeship Program, which many of you may be familiar with, that is currently operating in every district school board across the province. That will be enhanced to provide more capacity to school boards to further promote the program and provide more experiential learning opportunities for students so they can explore careers in the trades. The ministry will be launching 4 annual skilled trades career fairs throughout the province to build on the work that many organizations and school boards already do to further promote the skilled trades, and an opportunity to bring community together with employers and industry and training providers so that more people can learn about and consider a career in the skilled trades. Many of you will be familiar. I think there's many people on the call who represent or work in organizations that deliver our pre-apprenticeship training program. That's been available for a number of years to provide opportunities for youth, adults, and those who are underrepresented in our skilled trade system to get a taste of the trades, to better understand what the trades are about, and to even receive a work placement. And in some cases, the actual in-class training, the level 1 training. So there's going to be some investments to better bolster the placements and to provide, to provide more opportunities for people to explore the trades. Under that pillar is our work with the Ministry of Education on their Technology, Skilled Trades and Apprenticeship Plan to really respond to, the findings that the youth advisors presented on education staff maybe not having all the information that they need. So some professional learning and development will be available for teachers, administrators, guidance counselors, as well as a process to better facilitate the donation of supplies and equipment so that schools have the materials they need to provide really valuable experiential learning for students. Under the second pillar, simplifying the system, there will be a focus on seamless customer service. I'll talk a little bit in the next slide about the establishment of a new Crown agency, Skilled Trades Ontario. And I also wanted to touch on the One Window digital portal that'll also be that's currently available to better provide better customer service and an easier process to apply for and train within the apprenticeship system. You'll see there's 2 financial incentive grants available to apprentices, the Apprenticeship Development Benefit. This benefit provides financial support for childcare, basic living allowance, transportation, and a number of other categories in instances when an apprentice leaves their employment to attend full-time training with our training providers, the training delivery agents. We also have the Tools Grant, which formerly was the Loan for Tools. This is now a grant, so it's not repayable, and this is available money for apprentices to put towards protective equipment, tools, and any other supplies they need for their training. We're also going to broadly promote the availability of childcare supports and operating hours that childcare providers can provide throughout communities. And this is particular to support apprentices with young kids, especially female apprentices who need better childcare so that they can attend the job site at outside of the 9 to 5 hours. Training delivery agents, so that's our network of training providers, colleges, union training centers, etc. We provide funding through the In-Class Enhancement Fund, and we'll continue to do so to help support our training providers with providing quality in-class instruction to apprentices and to help offset those costs so that apprentices are not having to cover the full amount of tuition. We also provide the Apprenticeship Capital Grant. So these are for major capital expenditures like equipment so that training delivery agents can provide the most up-to-date cutting-edge equipment so that they can pass it on to and teach their apprentices. And finally, the last bullet here, or pillar here, the encouraging employer participation. We have enhancements coming up for the Achievement Incentive Program, which is a financial incentive program for employers who support their apprentices through key milestones of their training. So enhancements will be made for young people as well as those who are underrepresented in the skilled trade system. So employers will have the additional financial support they need to provide supervision and training to those apprentices. There'll also be some post-apprenticeship and journey person training to support upskilling in the trades, possible movement into management or entrepreneurship, as well as training to provide a more inclusive and welcoming environment within the apprenticeship system. We also have the Infrastructure Talent Accelerator, which is going to help support apprentices to be hired for major infrastructure projects. A group sponsorship grant. This is to help support a unique model of apprenticeship where a group of employers under a main group sponsor can come together, and they'll be supported with funding to provide training to apprentices, as well as the Skills Development Fund, which is available to support projects throughout the province, once again to increase the number of apprentices and to provide quality experience and training for apprentices. So just over to the next slide. We have the Building Opportunities in the Skilled Trades Act, which was passed in June 2021, and it was proclaimed into force just this past January. Really, the overall focus is it's intended to support the transformation of Ontario's apprenticeship system so that it's more efficient and easier to access and navigate. It enables the creation of the Crown Agency, Skilled Trades Ontario, at maturity to allow tradespeople and apprentices to get all the services in one place. So the registration, renewal of certificates, and trade equivalency assessment. So any prior training and learning will be recognized all in one place through Skilled Trades Ontario, rather than working with numerous ministry offices and organizations. So at maturity, Skilled Trades Ontario will be the go-to place for client support for registering as an apprentice and continuing their training, and the certification and renewals. And over to the next slide, just some information on our new digital portal. For quite some time, the apprenticeship training process was paper-based, very fragmented, outdated, and many were discouraged from applying, and we heard that through the youth advisor engagement sessions that applying for a pathway in apprenticeship was very confusing and difficult to access. So this portal is really going to be client focused. It'll provide that digital delivery for apprentices and employers, very secure and convenient access to online information and services. It'll support clients as they start and progress through apprenticeship, and support them as they reach their milestones towards maintaining certification. Businesses and employers will have access to the portal, will have more visibility over their apprentices' progression, and they'll be better supported and equipped to help train them towards becoming a qualified tradesperson. And the portals will also be flexible and adaptable as future changes occur in the system to respond to employers' and apprentices' needs. That's great. So this next slide is a little bit more of a description of some of the programs I had already mentioned as part of our skilled trade strategy. These programs really help to support young people entering the training system, newcomers, as well as women. So I mentioned the pre-apprenticeship training program, the Ontario Youth Apprenticeship Program, our financial incentives like the Apprenticeship Development Benefit and the Tools Grant, as well as the Achievement Incentive for employers to really support those who are underrepresented in our system and to encourage them towards pursuing a career in the skilled trades. So over to the next slide. So that essentially is our skilled trade strategy and the work that our youth advisors have done and the great feedback we received from stakeholders. We have contact information for our manager, Rachel Ross, here in the Apprenticeship Policy Unit, which is available on the slide for anyone who's interested in finding out more information. Great. So with that, I'm going to turn it over, I believe, to Judy.
Perfect. Thank you, Michael and Lisa. Really, really interesting and a great overview. So as mentioned before, if anyone has any questions, please type them in and send them, and I will read questions from the audience. And also I've got a couple of questions. 2 questions have come in from the audience, and I'm just going to read those now. It could be, Michael and Lisa, that you feel that members of the panel would be better positioned to answer those, in which case, fine, but I'm going to read them now just so that the panelists also hear what questions the audience is interested in hearing. So the first is from Christian, and Christian is a newcomer to Canada, and he wants to enjoy a career as an electrician. He's done his own research on becoming an electrician in Ontario and has found that the best way to do that is an apprenticeship. But to do an apprenticeship seems very difficult to someone like himself who has experience in his former country, but it was not regulated. How can the program help someone like me get over the barriers here? His options, as he's been able to discover, are a 2-year program, which is full-time at college, plus a 5-year apprenticeship for a total of 7 years, or a 3-month program in the pre-apprenticeship school trades, plus 5 years apprenticeship, which is about triple to 6 times the cost of a 2-year program. He says another option is through a union, but he's found that very difficult. He said it's like a lottery. I am not eligible for second career program because I'm a newcomer to Canada. Has the government offered a middle ground like financial assistance? So that is Christian's question to Lisa and Michael.
Sure, so I can provide a few thoughts. I think that's really important question to be asking because, you know, as a ministry and through the Skilled Trades Ontario, you know, there needs to be supports to help newcomers who have that experience, and that is certainly you know, an important piece of the apprenticeship system. I think in the question there was a number of options available that I think is you know, a great thing. There is pre-apprenticeship opportunities. There is trade equivalency assessment processes to recognize the qualifications that others bring from other countries. I would say in this particular example, I think, you know, going back to Skilled Trades Ontario and the client-focused service that's going to be available is that, you know, there will be Skilled Trades Ontario staff who can help assess the situation and figure what's best. I think for this specific situation, you know, there's a number of different pathways into the skilled trades. So I think the key here is that, you know, as a ministry, we're making it easier to connect with someone who can provide that advice and that guidance, because, you know, there could be more than one great options available. So I'm going to pass it to Lisa in case you wanted to build on that, Lisa.
Thanks, Michael. That's great. I think absolutely there are a number of pathways into the skilled trades, and it can be incredibly complicated and complex to understand which pathway is best. You know, Michael raises a really good point about Skilled Trades Ontario and the added supports that will be implemented shortly. I think another important item to notice is, or to note rather, is the key role of employment training consultants in our ministry regional offices who can support individuals in pathway planning. We also have live chat support through Employment Ontario, and there's a website, Employment Ontario's website, there's a live chat option where individuals can directly ask questions based on their scenario, and recommendations are offered in terms of pathways. So I would encourage Christian and anyone who requires support in figuring out where to start, where to go, to leverage the existing resources such as Employment Ontario, using the live chat, and through that getting referral to an employment and training consultant to better assess the situation and identify options. Thanks for the question, Judy.
Thanks so much, Lisa. Okay, we have a question from Christopher, who would like to know where we can find more details about the new Crown organization, Skills Trade Ontario. So Christopher, I'm going to answer that on behalf of Lisa and Michael, because Jennifer Green from the Skills Ontario is going to be on the panel. So she's going to explain a little bit more about what they do. And then if you've got any questions for Skills Trade, then they can, perhaps she can answer. You could send in another more detailed question. Lisa, is that good?
Judy, I just wanted to jump in. I know our names and acronyms are so similar here. Jennifer Green is from Skills Ontario.
Awesome.
Skills Trades Ontario is the new agency that will be, or that has been established. And more information is available on our website. So I would encourage you to search Skilled Trades Ontario and find out more about the Crown agency that was established under the new legislation that Michael spoke about. More information will be coming out about the agency in the coming months, so please stay tuned. All that we can share at this point is available online. So we do encourage you to check that out, and we can maybe pop the link in the chat.
Thank you so much. I apologize for the confusion. My role here is I'm obviously not a subject matter expert in the skilled trades ecosystem. So thank you very much for jumping in, Lisa, and I apologize for the error. Another question from the audience is from, let's see, I've got two computers going here, is from April, who works for the City of Toronto Community Benefits Unit. And her question is, we keep here, and again, this may be a question that is better directed to a panel member, but I'm just going to pose it so that everybody knows that that's what people are interested in. We keep hearing about a skilled trade shortage in Ontario, yet when we ask contractors who are working on City of Toronto funded infrastructure projects, they tell us that they have there are no limited or no hiring opportunities for their work crews. Can the panel and speakers comment on this apparent discrepancy about why particular contractors may feel that they have no work opportunities?
That's a really good question. Thanks, Judy. And I would love to hear the panel's response to this question later on as well. I think perhaps this goes back to our key finding about lack of information or awareness of opportunities. We do hear that there are gaps and there's a skilled trade shortage, so workers are needed. I think there's also a variance when it comes to the type of work. So there are, shortages in various trades, but not all. So I think it's really situational and depends what we're talking about. But we know that a shortage does exist and there is a need for increased workers. So I don't have anything else to add, but maybe Michael might want to jump in. But I really do look forward to hearing the panel's response to this question too.
Thank you. Michael, did you have anything to add?
No, nothing further to add. I think Lisa's response is great, and as well, if anything from the panel, that would be great to learn about as well.
Perfect. Well, I have one final question before we turn to our panel discussion. In the detailed recommendations of the strategy, I was noticing that there's a governance model proposed that has regional planning committees. That seemed like a really excellent way of breaking down the silos and increasing integration. And I was just wondering, and there's supposed to be some proposed subcommittees for supporting diversity, equity, inclusion, and skilled trades promotion. So I was curious as to whether or not those have been formed and are operating, or is that something that is still in the works? And I'm particularly interested in the central region, which is of course the Toronto focused one. Do you have any comments on the status of those committees?
Yeah, that's a great question. And thank you for taking a look at the report. I know there's a lot of content in there and some really detailed findings and detailed recommendations. So happy that you're able to review it. Very good catch. There's definitely a recommendation about supporting regional planning committees and supporting and developing potential diversity, equity, and inclusion committees. Both very great recommendations. The ministry is looking at how those committees can be formed, looking at our current model to figure out, where that best fits. But we definitely think, and linking back to the findings I spoke about earlier, that enhanced coordination is definitely needed. So one way to do that, of course, is through a more established structure of committees. So we're working through that right now. And, hopefully in the coming months, in the coming year, we'll be able to communicate further details. So stay tuned, and thank you for asking that question.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay, so I think the time has come to move to our panel discussion. Colleen Dignam has very kindly agreed to be our moderator, and she is a management consultant with the City of Toronto, supporting community benefit workforce development strategies that are focused on construction pathways for Indigenous, Black, and equity-serving groups that include youth, women, and newcomers. Colleen has over 20 years experience working with the construction and nonprofit sector. And so I'm going to turn to Colleen, and Colleen will introduce her panel, and there will be a panel discussion. So please continue to send your questions in, and following the panel discussion, we will be taking more questions from the audience. So over to you, Colleen.
Thanks, Judy, and good morning, everyone. As Judy mentioned, I'm Colleen Dignam, and I'm a management consultant with the City of Toronto, supporting workforce development and creating pathways into the trades for underrepresented groups, including women, newcomers, and youth, which is our focus today. Before we start the panel, I wanted to introduce each of our panelists as well as the focus of the panel discussion today. For the panel, it will be focused on two distinct areas. We're going to be looking at and discussing individuals with firsthand experience in the trades that incorporate a focus on women, youth, and newcomers. And then we're also going to be talking about insights and best practices being used to facilitate success with a focus on women, youth, and newcomers. Thank you to our panelists for taking the time to be with us today to answer and discuss these important issues. For our panel, I'd like to introduce Shannon Watson, who's a foreman plumber, who will be providing a tradesperson perspective. Jennifer Green, who's an industrial millwright mechanic and director of competitions at Skills Ontario. Marissa Preston, with Leuna Local 506 Training Center, who's the manager of partnership and business development. Sally Harvey, Director of Education and Workforce Development for Landscape Ontario Horticultural Trades Association. Jane Wilson, Director of Capacity Building and Resource Development with the Toronto Community Benefits Network. So to kick us off with the panel, I'm going to first ask a question for Shannon Watson. Shannon, when you began your journey into plumbing, it was the second career choice for you. Can you tell us a bit about what led you to pursue a career pathway into plumbing? And as a follow-up, if there was any advice for women who are interested in a career in the trades or who are new to construction, what advice would you give? Shannon, I'll pass it to you.
Thanks, Colleen. I'd like to say getting into plumbing was something that I thought of and desired to get into. It came more out of necessity. And out of this necessity, what I knew a trade would give me as a woman would be financial security, to be independent, to have equal pay as my male counterparts, and to also, in a personal level, to feel equal in contributing to a home. So that's how it happened. And in the long run, plumbing was meant for me. I fell into the trade that I should be. And I think that's something for what I get out of my trade is something that maybe newcomers and youth should think about when they're looking at a trade. So for myself, I get problem solving on how to make things work, to get services from somewhere to somewhere else, and making sure I follow all my code. Also, it's creativity. Some of the things we do can actually turn out beautiful. And you step back and you feel so satisfied with how everything looks. All the pipes are perfect, parallel with beautiful offsets, and it's very satisfying. But there are drawbacks to each trade. So a drawback to my trade is we deal with heavy tools, heavy materials, and you get dirty. But if you compare to other trades like electricians, their tools are lighter. They don't get as dirty, but they still have the creativity and, you know, a mental challenge. They have a lot to retain and knowledge to put into the thing. They're dealing with electricity. They, you know, that's a big danger compared to plumbing. And a carpenter can build something out of nothing, whether it's a structure or something that people can use in everyday forms. Mm-hmm. To look at it something a little bit more outside of the box, other than plumbing is this, it pays this, you know, carpentry is this, and this is what you can do. Also, as somebody coming in and getting on site, to know that you're a part of a team and to have each other's back, and no man left behind mentality. You're all there to get to the finish line, complete a job, and you do that together, united. And my last one, which I think is the most, a really good step up for anybody to remember, is as an apprentice, you're usually paired with a journeyman. You watch, absorb what they're doing. And in the end, try to pay attention and think of their next step and have the tool or material prepared before they even ask for it. They're going to know you're paying attention, you're retaining the knowledge, and you're a bit eager. And that goes a long, long way. And I look for that in any apprentices that come to work with me.
Oh, that's a great answer and great context. And just for the follow-up question, Shannon, if there was advice you could give to a woman who was contemplating going into the trades, they were unsure if it was a path they wanted to take, what would you say to that woman?
Don't be afraid. Be prepared to work hard. You want to make yourself an asset. And I think enjoying what you're doing and moving forward, it's satisfying. Don't be afraid.
Great advice. Thanks for that perspective, Shannon. For our next question, I'm going to move to Jennifer Green from Skills Ontario. Jennifer, you hold a certificate of qualification and a certificate of apprenticeship for industrial mechanic millwright. With your own personal experience engaging in the skilled trades in high school and now advancing your career with your current position as Director of Competitions with Skills Ontario, what are some programs that Skills Ontario delivers to expose elementary and secondary students to become more aware of pathways in the skilled trades and those types of careers that are available?
We host pretty much every kind of programming at this point, where as much as COVID put a spin on hands-on for skilled trades and technologies events, we were really creative and found ways to think outside the box and still be able to continue to host all of our normal programming while virtual. And for the elementary levels, we hosted a new program this year called Junk Drawer Races. That's 100% tied to the curriculum, but has skilled trades and technology-based contests that students can do virtually in teams as part of their class, which a teacher can incorporate for the whole class because it's tied to the curriculum And it was even catered to make sure it was as inclusive as possible, that even students at home still doing at-home learning could be involved. It starts at grade 2 and goes all the way up to grade 12, where they participate. For example, grades 2 and 3 is a little walking robot, and they take a video and they submit the pictures, and it's tied, like I said, to the curriculum, and they get to compete and have a chance for medals and even move on to a championship round. We also have in-school presentations, which start at kindergarten and also go all the way up to grade 12, as well as parent information nights to fully explain what the skilled trades are, the pathways to get into them. For young women's, for example, we're about to launch this new school year, an alphabet book, again, tied to the curriculum that showcases one of the 144 registered skilled trades through Ontario, as well as technologies for every letter of the alphabet. And then there's a secondary version, also completely in French, based on the letters of the alphabet and what the French versions of those skilled trades are. Young Women's also hosts a For Girls by Girls conference focused on ages 5 to 11 for International Day of the Girl, which is a 3-part series. They can attend online workshops with their family. We've done everything from making pizza to making ice cream to building bridges out of cardboard. There's also challenges where we focus on crafts that can be related back to skilled trades. For example, one of the challenges is that they are to build a playground made out of popsicle sticks and glue or hot glue, and that's focusing on metal and welding for the industrial sector. And then that For Girls by Girls conference, it's got a spin to it, and it's probably one of my favorites, where normally as a panel like this, you're talking to tradeswomen, you're talking to women in industry, but we're talking about little kids. What are they going to want to watch? So it's actually a tradeswoman interviewing little girls, and they get to be asked the questions. What do you know about skilled trades? What do you want to do when you grow up? What's your favorite tool? They even do a tool show and tell. Then they listen to a keynote from a tradeswoman or apprentice, and then it's the opposite. It's the 4 or 5 little girls, and they are interviewing the tradeswoman. So it really has a spin on it where it's for girls by girls, where those who are watching of that age range are much more likely to be interested and want to participate if they're watching somebody their own age. We also host summer camps for grades 7, 8, and 9. We have competitions provincially for grades 4 to 6, 7 to 8, 9 through 12, and post-secondary. We also have conferences for newcomers, Black youth, persons of color, First Nation, Métis, and Inuit, and of course, women in trades, along with a multitude of other programming that includes for elementary trade and tech days, as well as movie nights, where movies are tied back to the skilled trades and kits are mailed out to participants. So we work really hard to focus on all ranges with a multitude of different activities for the family, students in school, learning from home, on weekends, during the summer, you name it.
That's fantastic. And I think, through the earlier presentation from Lisa and Michael, exposure to the trades is such an important piece to get people exposed to trades while they're young, to see what those pathways are. So that's fantastic. Thanks for sharing, Jennifer. Next, we'll move on to Sally Harvey from Landscape Ontario. Sally, when people are considering a career in the landscape and horticultural trade, given the numerous sectors that are involved, from primary agriculture, also known as nursery production, to retail garden centers, landscape design, landscape construction, ground and turf management, to lighting, irrigation, interior landscape, to snow and ice management. What are some of the pathway options for groups specific to newcomers, youth, and women that are available in the landscape and horticultural industry?
Wow, great to be here. Colleen, is that okay? That sound is okay? Yeah. Great to be here. I'm getting echo. Before I highlight the pathways, I just want to provide a little bit of context about Landscape Ontario and our industry. Landscape Ontario, and often called LO, has been a voluntary trade association for almost 50 years. We represent around 3,200 member firms who employ about 85,000 full-time equivalent employees. So what we do in the horticultural, landscape and horticultural industry impacts the health and wellness of and well-being of communities across our province. We produce, design, install, and maintain living green infrastructure, and we are stewards of the environment. We're integrating low-impact development stormwater management, biodiversity, resource conservation, and water optimization are work in our projects. It's important to note too that our industry is so vast. When we look at a landscape project, we don't think about it, and nor is it obvious that the industry is rather diverse occupationally. We grow, as you mentioned, primary agriculture, we design, we retail, we install, build, and maintain that green infrastructure in public, industrial, commercial, institutional spaces, and residential spaces. So we hire, and we're desperately in need of carpenters, electricians, plumbers, landscape horticulturists, and heavy equipment operators, and stonemasons, mechanics, and engineers, and more. So for us, those pathways are inclusive of many different sectors and different trades across our industry. I think as well, a recent LMI report indicates that we're looking at a 13.5% growth between now and 2025, and looking at another 20,000 workers by 2030. So we're looking at about 130,000 workers in need. We're about 85,000 right now. So our workforce development initiatives are focused at all ages and audiences. And it's interesting to note that our apprenticeship stats are an average age of, or indicate an average age of 36 years of age. Most of them, of our apprentices, are between 18 and 30, and we're about a 39% female ratio. So interesting to note. So in terms of our pathways, we focus specifically on youth, and then we focus also youth and adult job seekers. So for youth, we work with the Horticulture Educators Association that is managed by Landscape Ontario, and we support the green industries, co-op and specialist high schools major programs across horticulture and landscaping, environment, agriculture, forestry, and entrepreneurship, etc. So we really strive to create awareness of the vast opportunities and get youth excited about the impact they can make in their careers and the environment. In terms of pathways for youth and adult career changers and job seekers, of course, we have the direct to work pathway. We are so proud of the Apprenticeship Horticulture Technician 441C pathway, and Landscape Ontario is a group sponsor. We have our diploma programs that we support. There's about a dozen across the province that focus on design, horticulture technician, and land planning. And of course, our university programs, degree programs that focus on landscape architecture and a vast plethora of horticultural sciences. And we have industry recognized certifications as well. So in terms of pathways, that's the high level on the pathways. I'd love to dig deeper, but we probably need a few hours for that.
Thanks so much, Sally, for that overview. And I think through the work and opportunities with the landscape and horticultural industry, it's vast and wide when it comes to the skilled trades. And so that's phenomenal to know those opportunities exist. Next, moving on to Marissa Preston from LiUNA 506 Training Center. Marissa, unionized construction is a large part of the industry in Toronto, specifically the construction industry. For those interested in learning more about the pathways into unionized construction, including apprenticeship training and membership with a construction union, how does LiUNA 506 promote pathways into the trades with a focus on recruiting and exposing underrepresented groups into the types of trades and programs that LiUNA 506 delivers, with the focus of increasing diversity in the construction industry?
Thanks, Colleen. So I'm actually a very proud person that works at LiUNA, especially Local 506, because they've actually taken it upon themselves to hire me, who I come from a background from Employment Ontario. I worked with youth. I worked with youth from various communities across the city of Toronto. I worked on a program called Hammerheads that, when I was there, was specific to the 13 priority neighborhoods. And I really got to understand the city and the different neighborhoods within our huge city. And I've been able to use that knowledge and make LiUNA Local 506 a champion. And we are now part of several different community groups. We work with different pre-apprenticeship programs. It's been very difficult, obviously, just like Jennifer was saying, to try to outreach and get into different communities, but we've been working with Colleen, the City of Toronto, TESS, and EO agencies to make sure that we are getting the word out there. I like to keep stats on our apprentices. Our last group, we had 75% of the apprentices were from equity-seeking groups. We're very proud of that, and it's the easiest thing to do. All you have to do is get into the communities. You have to open up your doors, and Local 506 knew that. And we have 4 different apprenticeships through the Ministry of Labor, Training and Skills Development, and we have a serious shortage. We've had open spots in the last 3 apprenticeship programs. We had to cancel a program because we don't have enough people. And when I say people, I mean the right people. We get applicants that sometimes come here, they don't even know what they're here for. They're like, I don't really want to work construction, but my my counselor told me it's a well-paying job. No. That's not what we're looking for. Colleen hears me preach this all the time. And I think it's really important to acknowledge the work that Skills Ontario is doing, because introducing students at such a young age is so important, because if they don't know these opportunities are out there, they're never going to apply. And no one wakes up in the morning and says, I'm going to be a hazardous material worker. I'm going to be a concrete finisher. I'm going to be a precast director. We represent trades that a lot of people don't know about. So we've actually been working with Skills Ontario the last few years to participate. And I look forward to hopefully coming to an in-person event this year, because it's important that these students see what we're doing and the different trades that are out there. Everyone talks about plumbers, electricians, and carpenters. And those are the trades that even teachers talk about. Every time I go anywhere, those are the trades that people bring up. But I want people to know about all the trades, and not just LIUNA trades. It's so important that we educate and that we make our trades available to everybody, and make sure they know. Because a lot of people, and I will say, when I first started here, most of our recruitment was through the membership. And it still is. I would say 80% of it still is, but our membership is so diverse that when we recruit, it's from people from everywhere. Newcomers, visible minorities, women. We have 2 women in this class. We had 2 women in the last class. We're very proud of that. So, we want to continue working with community partners. I think there's people there, like if people want to connect in with me, Colleen has all my information about our upcoming programs. We have one in April and another one in May for precast director. The April one is CCW. I'm going to pitch this because we need people. So if you've got people or you're someone on the line that wants to get into apprenticeship, please check us out. Colleen, I don't know if I answered the question. I feel like I'm more recruiting than anything, but
no, that's really great, Marissa. And I think you've really highlighted the point of the different types of trades that are represented in this example by LIUNA. And there's so many construction trades within the industry that aren't, carpenters, plumbers, and electricians. And I think that's an important thing to highlight about the career exploration. The more somebody knows about a potential opportunity, the more successful they'll be in not only entering that pathway, but approaching and completing apprenticeships. And I think that's something important in the exposure piece to always keep in mind, not only for job seekers, but for others in the ecosystem of the skilled trades. It's a lot of time people put up. And so we heard that question earlier from Christian about, it's 5 years the apprenticeship takes me. And so that's why it's so important to make sure that the pathway that people are achieving or pursuing is one that is they know all the pieces and the type of work there. So thanks so much, Marissa, for that overview. And just reiterating, if there's any follow-up or questions that people would like to ask more specifically, we also have the question feature for you yourself. And then also, as Marissa mentioned, if you'd like to reach out through the planning contact for this webinar, we can definitely link you up with the speakers. Next, I'll move to Jane Wilson from the Toronto Community Benefits Network. Jane, for those who are new to Canada, a career in the skilled trades offers steady employment, career advancement, and strong wages. The TCBN delivers the Newcomer Pathways into Construction program that's focused on assisting immigrants and newcomers, refugees, with learning about and how to access well-paying employment opportunities in the construction industry. Can you tell us, Jane, more about this innovative program and the experience of those participants who have participated thus far in the program?
Thank you, Colleen. Yes, happy to. And it's great to be following Marissa. And yes, we are very proud of LIUNA's accomplishments and for the diversity within their trade. I'll just start with some background on TCBN for those of you who may not be familiar with our work. Toronto Community Benefits Network is a community labor coalition of over 100 local member organizations in Toronto, including 10 of the major construction unions that are building the public infrastructure in Toronto. Together, we negotiate and support the implementation of community benefits agreements. These agreements ensure that 10% of apprenticeable hours are to be populated by Black, Indigenous, and other racialized people, including women, youth, and newcomers. Community benefits agreements also offer opportunities for professional, administrative, and technical jobs in the companies that are building these projects, and opportunities as well for social procurement and neighborhood and environmental improvements. We are signatory to 4 community benefits agreements in Toronto at the moment: the Eglinton Crosstown, the Finch West LRT, Casino Woodbine, and West Park Hospital, and we'll be involved in many more with the billions of dollars governments are investing in transit and infrastructure projects just right here in GTA over the coming decade. As part of our role in supporting the implementation of these agreements, TCBN has created a number of initiatives to ensure that those intended to benefit from them, including newcomers, that the agreements have a smooth and supported employment pathway to these jobs and opportunities. The Newcomer Pathways into Construction program was developed to create awareness and support access for internationally trained workers to opportunities in the trades and the professional, administrative, and technical jobs associated with the construction sector. It's essentially a sector-focused bridging program for internationally trained workers. The program is supported by the West World Education Services Miriam Asefa Fund, and it offers the following: workshops on the construction industry in Canada, workshops on how unionized trades and apprenticeships fit into publicly funded construction projects. Ontario has a very complex system. Preparation for the recruitment practices of the unionized trades and contractors. We work with BuildForce Canada as well and offer BuildForce Canada management courses, credits towards Gold Seal certification in construction, access to mentors through our Next Gen mentoring program, and access to our Quick Start in Construction Apprenticeship Readiness program that is subcontracted through Labor Education Center. Also, dynamic networking with our contacts in the industry, and job search preparation and financial support to offset expenses. Access as well to, of course, most importantly, internships with employers, jobs and opportunities, and recruitment opportunities in construction. The goal is to see, with this project in particular, about 50% of participants in the program going on to professional or trades employment opportunities. And to date, of the first of the 3 funded cohorts that we have, we've exceeded that goal. We have a total of 15 candidates employed or in further training, 6 employed in trades, 3 in further training with unions, and 6 in professional positions. So that's the program in a nutshell.
That's fantastic, Janie. Congratulations to TCBN and those participants for advancing. That's a fantastic outcome for the group. Before we have a question to each panelist to wrap up the panel and then open it up to questions that participants of the webinar have today, I'm just going to circle back to Sally Harvey at Landscape Ontario. Sally, you provided a really great context in terms of what the demographics and what the sector looks like and the types of positions that are available within the landscape and horticultural industry. I was just curious if you could tell us a bit about the specific programs that Landscape Ontario has, and maybe if there's opportunities for new participants if they're interested to find out more. Sally.
Thanks, Colleen. That's great. So not unlike many of us and many occupations and professions in the country, we are actively working on our domestic labor and foreign worker workforce development programs at both the provincial and national level. And much of it is domestic, but we also acknowledge the 5.7% unemployment rate. And we are working closely with provincial and federal government in terms of creating solutions around filling the immediate near-term skilled labor gaps. So thanks to funding by the provincial and federal government, we had the privilege of receiving funds to offer the GROW program, also known as the Get Ready for Opportunities at Work. And this program is offered to eligible participants who are job seekers. And we've been offering this for the last 2 years. It's designed, the GROW program is designed to attract and train new workers. And we've been very successful at that, this even during COVID, and place them with employers with in-demand career opportunities and jobs. We provide pathway guidance and supports to new workers. We're supporting them in pursuing development and advancement opportunities. And we also support them in the pathway of horticultural technician apprenticeship program. It's important to note too that we're a group sponsor. I think I mentioned that, and our group sponsor program is supporting the relief of the administration and navigation burden to enable more workers and employers to take advantage of the gift of the Hort Tech 441C apprenticeship program. And I know we've got some great developments with the new Skilled Trades Ontario, but it's still confusing to many. And so we're standing by since 2015 to support that enablement. And we were also recently received group sponsored grant funds from the province, and we've been developing study manuals, instructional videos. We've also launched a new job portal, landscape.jobs. And through the portal, we're actually able to recognize verified employers from our GROW program, as well as employers who are currently supporting and sponsoring apprentices. So job seekers can find out quickly who is in and enabling their professional development. I mentioned earlier too, one of our pathways is landscape industry certifications. Our industry certifications are recognized across Canada. We focus on technical, design, and business management designations to support our members and to support the industry as a whole in getting better at business and technical skills development. And we have a vast Landscape Ontario professional development program that offers relevant programming to support the vast diversity of skills of all the trades that we need to do the work that we do in our industry. And so we're enabling our business owners and our staff to grow businesses and amazing careers. So I just wanted to highlight that, and also the fact that we are so privileged to partner with so many amazing organizations on programs that are aimed at youth, newcomers, job seekers, pre-apprentices and whatnot, so that we are holistically connecting real jobs to folks who are hopefully becoming aware of the vastness of the opportunities. And yeah, so I think that's enough about programs for now, and look forward to any questions.
Great. Thanks, Sally. And again, a big thanks to each of the panelists. Before we open to questions from the audience, I wanted to ask one kind of just popcorn style question. If there was, for each of you to think about just a couple of words or an area of focus, if there was one area to focus on to support underrepresented groups, both considering and entering the skilled trades, recognized your organization's perspective and what you're focused on, what area of focus should be looked at in regards to bringing more individuals into the skilled trades? And maybe I'll just go back to when I see cameras on, but maybe I'll start with Jane Wilson. From the perspective of the Toronto Community Benefits Network, what area of focus are you looking at to bring more people into the skilled trades?
So Toronto Community Benefits Network has two strategies that it's really working with. And one of them is a major outreach strategy, well connected in the communities, and making sure that we are reaching out and providing information for people to really understand the opportunities. But another approach is that it's important, we have an apprenticeship readiness curriculum that we've been developing that is really meant to assist people who are entering the trades now prepare for the circumstances that they're going to experience on the job. Apprenticeship is an amazing way to learn a skill. And as you were mentioning, it's 85% on the job. And so there are certain aspects of workplace culture that people need to be prepared for and aware of, so that they're really not caught off guard when they get onto that workplace. As well, we also feel that letting people know that right now the industry is predominantly still white male dominated, and that as minorities, as Black people, as women, they are going to come across experiences that are going to be off-putting and discouraging, and that as long as we can offer, a third thing that we're offering is our Next Gen Builders mentoring program, which links those new entrants just about to get into the trades or are already first-year apprentices with peer mentors, people who are already in apprenticeship, or experienced master mentors, so that they have the opportunity. And this is not on-the-job instruction and so forth, which is also the way the word mentoring is used in the industry. But this is on their own time, volunteer mentors, senior mentors, people who have experience, who are really providing that ongoing one-on-one relationship that helps people manage and prepare for what they're going to get, and to get the most out of, and a win-win from working in the trades and really retaining their commitment to where they work and finishing their apprenticeships. So those are some of the strategies right now that we think are extremely important.
Great, thanks, Jane. Jennifer Green from Skills Ontario, from your organization's perspective, what should that area of focus be, or what is the area of focus for Skills Ontario to bring in new individuals into the skilled trades?
Making sure that there's programming available that students or adults can relate to. What is it somebody that's actually going to want to participate in? Definitely see it, be it. Doesn't matter what career you're in, at what age or what stage of your career, if there isn't somebody like you in it, it's really hard to picture yourself in it. So making sure that all of our events have the appropriate mentors, and especially throughout a range of, are you thinking of going into the trades? Are you an apprentice? Are you an OEP student? Are you licensed? So making sure that you can have those see it, be it, and of course the hands-on pieces. It's one thing to talk about skilled trades, it's another to actually experience it. So having that hands-on component, where a lot of skilled trades people are visual learners. So to be able to actually do the component in your hand, while virtual, we do have kits and we do have projects based off of the junk drawer idea of what's commonly in a classroom, what is in your house in the junk drawer, so that you can build something along with us. But all of our events, when in person, 100% have hands-on components with licensed or apprentice skilled tradespeople in classrooms. We bring in equipment because it's really hard to imagine what that trade really is just speaking about it, especially when it's words that students, for example, might not understand. When I speak about my trade and I talk about fluid power, well, unless they paid attention in grade A as far as that piece of the curriculum, it's kind of missed some places to explain what hydraulics and pneumatics really are. You need the visual component to go along with it to truly have people understand what it is that they want to go into.
That's a great point, to see it, feel it, touch it. Really good focus for Skills Ontario. Marissa Preston from LEUNA 506. What do you feel should that one area of focus be for your, or what is that one area of focus for your organization to bring in underrepresented groups into construction?
We like to focus on the positive outcomes we've had and to share stories and make sure that people that are on the ground working are also helping us with recruitment. So We ask our apprentices to actually help us with recruitment, post on Instagram, show that what they're doing. It sounds kind of simplistic, it really is, but it's important because the people coming into the trades, the youth, the people we're trying to recruit, they're not listening to radio ads, they're not watching TV, they're not reading newspapers, they're on social media. So really trying to have a clear pathway. And I mean, STO's hopefully going to start trying to make the pathway clearer. But, you know, just as I believe his name's Christian was asking, like, do I go into pre-apprenticeship? Do I go into apprenticeship? Do I go to college? Like, it's crazy if you're just trying to figure out how to start an apprenticeship. For me, I'm like, just apply online, come write our intake test and join LiUNA. Like, it's the path is convoluted. But we really have to get the word out. So, you know, I was talking to one of our young female apprentices the other day, and she said, Martha, I just have to share with you, and the company's named Clifford Restoration. She goes, they treat me like a person, not a woman. They make me do everything the same. And that's because we've been working with our contractors to make sure they understand what it's like getting a new apprentice, because they have to educate. So we really need to make this pathway clearer, get the word out to people, educate our employers to make sure that they have mentors on the jobs, our apprentices feel comfortable. And I think that once, you know, this next generation that Jennifer and her group are trying to educate are coming up and graduating, I'm hoping that they're going to join the skilled trades and the paths are going to be clearer, and we'll get the people we need working.
No, great response. And definitely having people who have been successful share the word, share the message. Sally Harvey from Landscape Ontario, from your organization's perspective, what is that focus you're looking at to bring new people into the skilled trades?
So many focused areas, but anyway, I don't disagree with the panelists, my co-panelists here. I think you can't be what you can't see. And I think the experiential learning piece is really important. If there's one word that comes to mind is awareness. For newcomers and folks and youth, there is such a lack of understanding of so many of the trades and the trades opportunities. I think it's important that we are positioning, and the Skilled Trades Ontario evolves. We have to continue to work at eliminating the trade stigma that's pervasive in our secondary or post-secondary educational system and society as a whole. So we need to change perceptions of our parents, our educators, guidance counselors, career counselors, youth and job seekers. There's still that sort of anomaly oh, you know, you're in the trades program, you're a specialist high skills major. Those programs are meant for all destinations and pathways post-secondary, whether it be to work, college, university, apprenticeship. And I think it's really important that we as a society and a system start to really and continue to do the work that started to really take that message forward. We have teachers in our specialist high skills major program that come to me saying that newcomer families are you know, their students are going to their high schools or in a specialist high skills major program, and the parents are forbidding them to join a trade. They've come to a new country, and that stigma is very, very pervasive. So we have a lot of opportunity ahead of us to change those perceptions. I think the experiential learning, what Skills Ontario is offering, and we partner with Skills Ontario, and we've been also conducting 10 boot camps through Support Ontario Youth Boot Camps. We've had 10 through COVID, experiential learning days, and we're letting students try the trade and get really excited about what it might offer. So I think all of those things and many of these activities are underway, but coming together and systematically approaching this and partnerships is going to be really key. Thank you.
Thanks for that, Sally. And last response to this question, leaving it to Shannon, our foreman plumber, to give her perspective. Shannon, you've heard from, you know, a union perspective, agencies that support people getting into the trades. And if you were to give just one recommendation, Shannon, for what the focus for all of us should be on bringing new people into the trades, what could you say is that focus given, you know, all of the success that can be had in the skilled trades, such as yourself becoming a foreman, but also noticing all the challenges. What should that area of focus be from your perspective?
I agree with all of the panelists. There are very many great points made in knowing the culture, type of work you're getting into, support. People need to also look at it as going into the apprenticeship and going through everything is it's an investment in your future. Take the steps. You're always learning something new. In ways, 5 years isn't enough time. You don't learn everything. I'm still learning things now. I think what everybody's saying are all brilliant plans to help people get into the trades. Yeah.
Well, fantastic. And on behalf of the ICE committee, and I'll pass it back to Judy, thanks to the panelists for sharing your insights and expertise. Over to you, Judy.
Thank you so much, Colleen. And we've already had several people emailing how much they appreciate your discussion. So thank you for your time and for the very useful information you've provided. We do have quite a few questions from the panelists. I think we've got time, hopefully, to get through everyone. But if not, what I'm going to do after the event, if we can't cover your questions live, is refer your questions to the individuals concerned. So keep the questions coming. I'm going to take them in the order to which the people entered them, but as I say, hopefully we get a chance to answer everybody's questions. Quick one, someone was curious about why we have only men on the, only women on the panel. I said men because usually that's the question I get is why are there no women on your panel? And here today we have all women. I want to assure Pedro that that was purely accidental, although the theme today was increasing pathways for women, newcomers and youth, but we didn't deliberately choose an all-women panel. Perhaps I'll use this example the next time I'm criticized for organizing an all-male panel. But anyway, so Pedro, no bias, intended bias. We have a question from Tina, who is noting that it's getting into the skilled trades is great if you can get into a union, but it's extremely difficult to find non-unionized employers who will take on apprentices. Many will only hire third and fourth year apprentices. What is being done to help individuals new to the trades to connect with non-union employers, perhaps before they've managed to qualify to be a union? Does anyone wish to comment on that question?
I can jump in on that one. I have privatized background. A lot of non-union employers, I will use my trade as an example. You'll start off as, for example, a fluid technician. So you would get your foot in the door as a technician that way. And then once doing a year of technician, or once they have an opening for first year, they'll take you on as a first year apprentice that way. So it's sometimes hard to get your foot in the door, being able to apply directly if you're a first year for third or fourth year apprenticeships. But if there's other options, if you're not actually a registered first year yet, to apply for those other entry levels, to become an employee first, to get your foot in the door if they don't have any first year openings right away.
Great, thanks, Jennifer. Any other comments, Sally?
Judy, yeah, I'll step in here. From Landscape Ontario perspective, this is partly why, so the group sponsored program is helping us, and we've been a group sponsor for 5 or 6 years now. So we are intending to outreach to folks who are not necessarily in the union environment. Our landscape.jobs website also is a job seekers website. Job postings are there, and employers are identified who are currently employers who are sponsoring apprentices. So Landscape Ontario mentors these individuals who are looking at career changes and seeking an employer. As well, we have the tools on the digital job board to help folks connect those dots. But we stand by, and as I mentioned in my short presentation, we are mentoring many career changers and many individuals just coming up through the high school system as well.
Perfect. So they can get in touch with you, Sally, at Landscape Ontario if they, yes, perfect.
Absolutely.
Great. Thank you. Okay, so we are, Zaina is wondering about regulatory bodies. What is being done to support faster professional recognition, which I guess also speaks to Christian's point about 5 years to become an electrician. let's see, PLAR, recognition of peer learning be applied throughout the process for career pathways that will bring interested and qualified trades individual to the labor force. So is anyone on the panel feeling able to qualify? I can also refer them to Lisa and Michael, who I'm not sure whether are still with us, but does anyone wish to comment on that? I think it's a really important question. Sally?
I'll just mention one pathway. We don't do the FARS, the ministry does typically, and or World Skills and different agencies. However, what we have come to as a solution is for many people who come to us with transferable skills and are trades from other countries, there's a TEA process, so trade equivalency assessment process, and we can look at that process for individuals to get their equivalencies, and or the exemption exams that are available for not all trades, but for many trades. We can get folks through that those avenues as well.
Perfect, thank you. Perfect. We have a follow-up question from Christian, who I guess during the webinar signed into Skills Trades Ontario's portal, and he wants to apply, but he needs a sponsor. So how can he find a sponsor? Does anyone have a suggestion?
I think it goes back to many of us. So different job boards like Landscape.jobs will have those matching opportunities. We have an assessment. We're actually matching resumes to row jobs that are in demand. And I think there are a lot of tools that are evolving like that across many, many trades. And I would suggest that Christian reach out, and I know OEL has something going in that direction as well. So there are many trades that have adopted different systems that way. So depending on the trade you're looking for, explore with the associations, reach out to the associations and see what they've got for you, even if it's a mentoring or an informal matching opportunity.
Thank you so much. And a question, I'm afraid I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce your name, but he's from the 519 organization. And what is the plan for recruitment within the queer community? His words, as we rarely hear of partnerships or outreaches done within our community or queer serving organizations. How safe are the unions for sexual minority and racialized folks? Most of the unions still bear names like Fraternal Brotherhood that do not look inclusive to racialized or minority folks. So does anyone have any comments on that one? A very important question again.
I'll take a stab at it. We actually met with 519 a few years ago. They came up here for a tour, and we shared our pamphlets and information. So when I go out, I speak to anyone, any community. I try to get the word out there as best I can, but if you do want to connect in with me, please let me know. We are working with our contractors. It's all about education, and we have to do it as a community of construction, really and truly, because without having everyone on board from top down and making sure that everyone understands all the different communities coming in, wanting to work in construction, it's not going to make people be successful. And I agree. So it's also, if we could even connect with 519 and discuss training for our instructors, for our contractors, that would also be wonderful, because this is a new population of people that are coming into construction, and they do need to feel safe. I agree.
Perfect. Great. Thank you, Marissa. I think it's a very important question. So we're running out of time. There's still 4 or 5 questions, but I'm going to, after the webinar, put you directly in touch with our speakers and panelists to hopefully get your questions answered. I want to just thank so much everyone who helped us today, both the speakers and panelists who took your time out of this morning and also in the previous weeks to prepare presentations and questions and answers that were so thoughtful. Also the members of our ICE committee, many of whom have contributed suggestions, and particularly Adrian Leakey, who's here with us today, and Ade Worku, who were instrumental in putting together our panel and the content of today's session. Final reminder to complete the feedback form, please, before you sign out of the webinar. And if you'd like to watch the webcast again or forward it a link to other people, it will be posted on the ICE Committee website probably by next week sometime. And I will send an email out to all of the registrants and panelists and speakers to let them know when that happens. And then after that, you can download the whole webinar and watch it again, or you can forward it to other people, or you can use it in presentations to your organization memberships and so on and so forth. Let me see, is there anything here so I invite you also to reach out to ICE Committee if you have any follow-up questions. Our email address is info@icecommittee.org. And I'll facilitate connections to any panel members or speakers, or try to answer the questions on your behalf. So I think with that, we have about 30 seconds to go, but I'll bring the session to a close. And again, thanking everyone for your great participation today. Quite a few people have emailed in saying how much they appreciated the discussion. They found you really, really interesting and informative. So thank you so much. And I hope everyone enjoys the rest of the day.